deception, honor, and betrayal. The game begins anew when the epic series Game of Thrones returns. Just one part of your free preview of HBO Max. You'll experience all the must-see originals and the biggest Hollywood movies you won't want to miss. Watch it all anytime. There's nothing else like it. Don't miss a free preview of HBO Max Friday, March 29th until Monday, April 1st. Sign up for HBO and Max and get your first month free. Call 601-8992 or visit cablebahamas.com to subscribe today.
Good evening, Bahamas. This is NB12 broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Here's what's making news tonight. Web shops no longer protected by the courts. The Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, and the Church all weigh in on the ruling. Pay cuts for BEC workers, plus Arawak key vendors keeping up with their payments. Those stories and much more underway, and Nakia DeVoe and NB12 starts right now. Joining us here at NB12. The conservatory order temporarily protecting web shops from police interference and prosecution was today discharged by Chief Justice Sir Michael Barnett. However, as Christina McNeil tells us in this report, this is not the end of the line for web shop operators.
Today's judgment, a win for the rule of law, according to the Attorney General's office. However, the fight is not yet over, as attorneys for web shop bosses indicate that they intend to appeal the matter. Crown Counsel for the Attorney General's office, Lauren Klein, spoke with reporters just minutes after the ruling was handed down. He explained what the ruling means for the Attorney General's office.
I think the ruling essentially is a victory for the rule of law. Because while our process allows anybody who wishes to challenge the constitutionality of a law, in the normal scheme of things, that person should obey that law until and unless set aside by a competent court with jurisdiction.
Sir Michael did not read his written judgment in court today. However, he told the court it is his judgment that this is not a proper case for the court to exercise its discretion to restrain the police from discharging their duties as they consider it proper to do. Barnett therefore refused applications for an interlocutory injunction and discharged the conservatory order granted by Senior Justice John Isaacs on January 30th. An application for an interlocutory injunction was made to prevent government from following through with an order to shut down web shop gaming operations made by the Prime Minister the day after the gaming referendum. During the hearing, attorney Wayne Monroe, who represents 6 web shop bosses, asked Barnett for a short conservatory order, allowing him to take instructions from his clients and file appeals. Barnett, however, said he was not minded to grant that request and encouraged Monroe and attorney Alfred Sears to move swiftly to do whatever it is their clients choose to do. Outside court today, Klein explained that Barnett's ruling does not restrain police from enforcing the law while the validity of the challenge law is being tested. While Sears was not able to respond to specific elements of the judgment, he said his clients intend to appeal.
He refused the application for the injunction, and he also discharged the initial conservatory order which was granted by Senior Justice John Isaacs. And we have not had a chance yet to give mature consideration to the ruling. We only just received the written ruling this morning, and so we'll have a chance later on to look at it. But effectively what he seems to be saying is that the law enforcement authorities should not be restrained in a case like this from exercising their statutory functions according to law.
We have not been appraised of the reasons. We have just received a written ruling which we have not had an opportunity to read, as it was not read in open court. We will review the reasons that he has given and determine whether there are grounds of appeal. We will then consult with our clients and take instructions.
Sears and Jeffrey Lloyd argued on behalf of Paradise Games. Wayne Monroe represents the Island Game, Island Luck, FML group of companies, Ace Who Draw, What Fall, and Chances. Part of the plaintiff's argument was related to their constitutional rights. In his written judgment, Barnett calls that argument a complete red herring, as there is nothing in the challenge that concerns the plaintiff's status either as Bahamian citizens or residents of the Bahamas. Additionally, Barnett writes there is no basis for the plaintiff's fear that their businesses will be shut down if an interim injunction is not granted. To that, he says the police can only prosecute for breaches of the Lotteries and Gaming Act and cannot shut down the entire operation. Barnett drew on the example of the 2009 case against Craig Flowers, who was charged and convicted for an offense under the Lotteries and Gaming Act. While that conviction is currently subject to an appeal, he notes Flowers, one of the plaintiffs, has not alleged that his business was shut down during the prosecution or that it has suffered irreparably as a result of criminal prosecution. Barnett says the assertion that the plaintiffs will suffer irreparable harm unless an interlocutory judgment is granted is not supported by any credible evidence. Although a conservatory order is not in place, Klein says it is unlikely police will immediately begin shutting down web shops.
Them having indicated that they intend to appeal, I think the authorities would very much respect the process of the courts, and so I don't see that happening. Certainly not until the Court of Appeal has had a chance to consider the matter. You will respect the rule of law. So I don't expect anything to happen immediately at all.
An appeal of the Chief Justice's judgment is expected to be filed shortly. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Well, when reporters asked Prime Minister Perry Christie after the ruling what the government's next move would be, he didn't get too specific, though he did say the law would be upheld. Celeste Nixon reports.
Speaking with reporters this afternoon, Prime Minister Christie says he is yet to read Chief Justice Sir Michael Barnett's judgment and would like to consult the Attorney General before making any specific comments on what will happen next for web shop owners.
Well, firstly, I should be allowed to read the judgment. I was told of the judgment that it had been delivered. I have not yet had a briefing from the Attorney General as to the contents of that. The judgment is now places the people who are affected by the judgment in a position where they themselves have to come to an understanding of the meaning of the judgment and act in accordance with the judgment unless they appeal that decision.
Following the Webshop Gaming and National Lottery referendum held in January, Christie ordered webshop owners to shut down their gaming operations immediately or face arrest and prosecution. Today, Christie said his administration's policy remains unchanged.
Well, my position is on the record, has been referred to in the case itself. The position I adopted has been referred to, and once the court rules clearly on the law, there's no confusion as to what is to be expected. And if the web shops have been ruled to be an illegal and illicit activity, then they have to act accordingly.
Prime Minister Christie also noted he will not be telling the police how to carry out their duties.
Christie said if the police need advice regarding the implications of the judgment, they would consult Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson.
I don't think you could ask me that. I mean, I cannot tell you what the responsibility of the police. You know, the police are there to enforce the law. And so if you want to go and ask the police whether they can enforce the law, that's what you should do. But I mean, obviously, okay, we expect when a judgment is read that after the police have had an opportunity to read the judgment and have the judgment interpreted for them, then they will act on that judgment.
Christie said he expected he would be fully briefed on the ruling this afternoon when Cabinet reconvened. Reporting for NB12, I'm Celeste Nixon.
Opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis says he also expects the law to be upheld. He told NB12 today that the government has no choice but to ensure that the Royal Bahamas Police Force carries out its mandate to shut down gaming houses. Dr. Minnis said they owe it to the Bahamian people.
The Prime Minister and the Commissioner of Police are on record as saying that they would carry out the wishes of the people. However, the wishes of people were stopped because of the injunction. Now the wishes of the people still remains, and the court has confirmed the wishes of the people, and therefore the Prime Minister, he was elected by the people, to govern the country and carry out the laws of the country. And the people would expect, just as the injunction was implemented immediately, the people would expect the same result for the ruling by the Chief Justice.
Meantime, members of the Bahamas Christian Council are questioning why web shops were not shut down immediately following today's ruling. Council President Reverend Ranford Patterson says while the council is very happy with the ruling, it was hoping for immediate action.
If the ruling was handed down at 12 or 11, I would think that 11:05, that each and every one of them should have been closed.
Patterson said web shops should be closed down immediately and only be allowed to reopen if they win their appeal. But the council president says he's confident the court will once again rule in favor of the Bahamian people, saying, quote, victory is not theirs. Patterson says he believes the law will be carried out soon and the church has no fear that web shop operators will be allowed to continue illegal gambling operations.
I have all the confidence in the world in our police officers, in our commissioner, that he will do what the law requires of him to do. I am confident of the government doing their part because the government put it before the Bahamian people. The Bahamian people decided what it is that they wanted to do as it relates to gambling in our country. And so I have no fear whatsoever that the courts would continue to uphold the voice of the Bahamian people.
Now, according to Patterson, the church remained quiet on the gambling issue and allowed the court to make its decision. But he said the Christian Council watched closely as web shop operators rebranded and expanded even after Bahamians voted against them. He said the church was never worried about losing the fight against gambling.
We had no fear. We had no concern whatsoever. I saw the brand new colors and all the other things, but we had no fear. We just knew that once the Bahamian people had spoken, we felt honestly that we had done our job. The Bahamian people spoke loud and clear on the issue of gambling. And personally, I felt that my job was complete as it relates to that.